Okay, yo. It's a Wednesday, and I looked that up. That is true. It's a Wednesday. Honestly. Anyways, so it must be CPI, because next week's too late, so it must be today, but maybe we should go through the calendar. But anyways, welcome to Forex.Today, the YouTube community of more than 19,000 foreign exchange traders. We gather here today to conduct technical and fundamental analysis with the overriding goal of putting together trade plans. Let me remind you that trading is risky. It's not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, never risk money you cannot afford to lose. My name is Wayne McDonell. I'm a currency trader just like you. I just have a few extra years under my belt, and I've done a few things right, but I've done a whole lot of things wrong. And if we work together, I will share with you everything that I've learned from both scenarios. And as Ray Dalio will tell you, or attest, you'll learn way more from your mistakes than from your successes. So ask questions. I will be here to share. I also invite you to visit tradersway.com. You're going to need a broker. Yep. Tradersway.com. Open up a demo account. Give them an opportunity to earn your loyalty and respect. Simple enough, right? And you're like, yeah, I just want some. I want competitive fees and fast execution speed. Oh, they have that and so much more. Things like principles and values. Tradersway.com. Okay, let's go through the calendar. It must be CPI Wednesday. It's also oil inventories Wednesday. Yeah, sure enough. Cool. All right, CPI coming out today. Very interesting. We're all expecting 7.0. No big shocker there. Okay, that's no shocker whatsoever. So what we want to see, of course, is what is the Fed going to do about that? But we've already been doing that for several weeks. So this will be big news, but it's not big news in the sense of long-term market direction because we already knew it. So anyways, Chinese trade balance, imports and exports. This is actually much more interesting. Because what we want to see is that two things like factory capacity and utilization figures, which are not part of this information. We want to see if Chinese factories are operating or are they shut down because of COVID. What this will show is imports and exports. So what has been made and exported by China, and are economies around the world ordering more stuff from China, or is the trend more like nearshoring? So one of the things I really like about the Mexican peso is I believe a lot of American companies are going to nearshore. And they're going to say, we faced a lot of risk trying to import stuff from, let's say, China, Taiwan, Vietnam. You know, for example, Vietnam, I think on 2 occasions have shut down all their factories and their entire economy. So when that hits, you know, when a supplier shuts down like that, it really shuts down the other business, right? So those other businesses, let's say the American businesses, the buyers here, are going to say, wow, all right, we need a backup plan and we need our supply to come a little bit closer to home. And if it's in Mexico and there's a shortage of drivers or something, I don't know, maybe you can send your own driver. I don't know. You go pick it up yourself, right? Throw it in the back of the minivan. But nonetheless, being closer to home is a great strategy for a lot of American companies that have found risk inside their supply chain. So anyway, so we want to look for that kind of evidence in there. So that's actually probably more interesting because we don't know this information. High inflation out of CPI today. We already know that. Come on, dude. All right. PPI tomorrow. That's interesting because we're trying to predict really the next 2 or 3 CPIs. And you're going to get that inside of PPI which is the producer side of inflation, meaning it's the manufacturer's inflation. I'll give you an example. I don't know if it's inflation or supply chain or both, but a few months ago, Sony stopped making PlayStation 5s. So PS5s doubled and tripled in value, and they just announced today, instead of making PS5s, they're going to go back to making PS4s. So what's the difference? Cheaper chips, easier manufacturing process because it's old technology. Interesting, huh? So anyways, New Zealand housing, we know they're very worried about their housing. Australian housing, we know they're very worried about their housing market. Too much demand. They're worried about a bubble and stuff. And then New Zealand, are they going to raise interest rates? Well, they're in that process, and they certainly can. Okay. Michael says, I can't be absolutely certain, but I don't think I rely on yearly pivots. Well, I have to pick on the word rely. But do I use or do I, in my analysis, annual pivot points? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sure. So Mike says, so what's your take on yearly pivots on Dixie being at M3? Well, if you're a bear, that's a sell zone. If you're a bull, it's transitory. Okay? So remember, pivot points don't give you a bias. They're just technical levels. Okay, and then, of course, the big news this week is retail sales, right? And then next week, is it Wednesday? Or is it the following Wednesday? I guess it's the following Wednesday we have FOMC. A lot of stuff next week. Bank of Canada releasing information. BOJ statement and interest rate decision. Okay. BOJ outlook. Okay. China interest rate decision. Remember, they're trying to stimulate their economy. They're like one of the few economies in the world that are actually adding stimulus. Adding stimulus. They're doing the opposite. It's kind of interesting, huh? So anyways, interesting, huh? Aussie down, Kiwi down, Euro down. The only two things that are up are the two things that I'm buying. Pound and CAD. Okay? CAD yen looks like it should be doing good. USD CAD looks like it should be doing good. Okay, we could take a look at yen. Go into a 15-minute chart here. And these are still up, these trades. I have this up here to remind us for a roll reversal. The orange line is just me simply showing my trade plan. Okay, this was all set up on Sunday in my day trading group. Does anyone want to join the day trading group? We have such a good time. Or how about start with the, start with the swing trading group. I recommend you guys join the swing trading group. So anyways, here we go. This is part of the swing trading group. This is set up on the day trading group. So the day trade was like we were here, actually a little bit lower, right? We met here on Sunday, and the plan was to have it come down. So what I did was I put an order here on Sunday, and I put an order here on Sunday, so that if it came down, which it should because this is a selling pivot, and this is a selling price. So it should. I don't know if it would. Okay. It came down, in, okay. It found support, and then ever since, up, down, buy, 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 until that stops. Okay. That one worked better than the others because it just happened to be the one that worked. Okay, that's all. But interesting, right? Cool. So really on a higher time frame than the 15, you could really get something, you know, like this would be the plan. Okay. Cool. Now, other things didn't work out as good. Why not? Well, Euro, for example, ain't that strong. Okay. Cool. So this is kind of interesting. Maybe there's a breakthrough. This is a daily chart, of course, so you have to try to describe what you see going on here. And it looks like a double bottom. Okay, and it looks like a follow through. And the target here is 133.5. And that's not technically a good trade. Now you'll say, well, that's a nice technical setup. Well, I actually mean based on relative strength. If that works, and if we hit this, there's probably 2 or 3 or 4 other trades that were better and would have made more money. But you're happy, you're like, oh, I made this trade. Hey, congratulations. But you kind of bet on the wrong horse, even though it worked out. Hey, even the losing horse makes it around the track. Okay? Ahmed, I don't have a view. Okay. Now, once again, you'll see there's a little bit of a difference here. This is not the same as a lot of the other trades, but you'll see we got ourselves a roll reversal. Okay. And right now it's acting as support. It has not made a higher high, so bears are going to defend this price. Bears are going to defend this price. And bears are going to defend this price. Okay? So you can mark it. Okay? You're going to defend that. I already have this. And then they're going to defend that. Okay? So you might be a bull, and buying down here is cool. But, yeah, lots of reason to be cautious. But if you see the other yen pairs going up, then this is going to be better off. Okay? If you were just going to have a bullish plan only, you're going to treat it like a double bottom. Here's your old highest high. Okay? Right? Here's your new higher low. It's actually a roll reversal. Let me relabel that. Roll reversal. Okay, so if that holds, then the target is right here. We'll call it not quite 81. So why don't we just say 80.50? You should take your money and run. Okay, which is all right because we're at, let's say, 78 now. So 2 to 250 pips, maybe. Okay. Cool. Hey, did anyone watch the Biden speech here in Georgia about voting rights? Now, there used to be this idea that Congress and the Senate could be at each other's throat and be polarized because they represent their party. The President of the United States is supposed to represent everybody, including the citizens. They're everyone's leader. And there was this idea of the president really should bring people together in a message of peace and hope and harmony. He came out yesterday and said, you need to choose the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis, which means if you don't agree with his point of view, you're a racist. Holy schnickerschnocker. That was, I don't think I've heard a more divisive president ever. And you're like, Wayne, you're just political. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm not. I'm not trying to be. I just honestly, maybe you'll say Trump was. Well, a lot of people were very sensitive about what Trump said. So, okay, maybe. I don't know. But holy smokes, gee whiz, that's crazy. That was, I just thought Trump was? Okay. That was, that was strange. I thought anyways, I thought that was strange. You say Trump was, and I can get that point of view. The problem is with Trump is that so many people just flat out hated him, but couldn't tell you why, or at least not logically. So I always felt Trump was sort of different. Trump was Trump, maybe. Right. Again, one of the things I used to say to the people that I'd come across that just absolutely hated Trump, no matter what you said or no matter what happened, I said, did you read his book? Do you know his story? Do you know how he works? Do you know he doesn't eat lunch? Like, what do you know about him? And they never took me up on that. So it was, to me, it was just, that was a binary argument. You either could tolerate Trump or you absolutely flat out hated it no matter what. So I think more people are a little more objective with Biden, right? But now, that speech bothered me. Again, not because I'm political. I'm Canadian, by the way, so who cares, right? But the message bothered me, and then his press conferences are really bad. Meta says media created a monster out of Trump. Well, I agree with that most of the time. But, dude, he was also different, Meta, right? Like, dude. And by the way, that speech he did right before the Capitol riots, that was different, too. If you watch that speech, you're like, wait, this is weird. And then, bad stuff went down. But I would admit, agreeing with you, Meta, I would watch I watched Trump's, let's say, State of the Union address, and Biden has his first one coming up, and it's going to be horrible, I think, but I'll watch it, okay? But I remember thinking Trump's would be horrible, and so I literally would watch the whole State of the Union address. My opinion, it was good. Trump did a good job. Like, it was good. People were laughing, and the people that hated him the most in Congress, they would laugh and almost cheer, like, a little bit, like, because he'd make a joke and they would all laugh. And it was funny because he'd make a joke at how much he knew they hated him, and then they would laugh and stuff like that. And it was cool, right? You're like, that's funny. Like, it was literally funny. It was a good speech. And then the next day, it would be reported much different. And I'm like, wow, that's clearly, clearly loaded messages in the media. That was quite clear. But don't get me wrong, Trump said some pretty stupid and even dangerous stuff and did some stupid or dangerous stuff. But George Bush also, George W. Bush and Cheney, they did some crazy, and what was his name? Rumsfeld. Those guys did some bad things too. You're like, quite dangerous stuff. So I don't know. So all I'm saying is, if you go back to, right, so That's for everyone that says, "Oh, Wayne, you're just saying that because you're a Republican or something." Dude, I can't even vote. I can't even be part of a party, so I don't think I might be Republican, but I don't know. Not always, maybe. I don't know. But I can certainly criticize both parties, and all I'm saying is that speech I thought was a little bit dangerous. Right? That was divisive. That was designed to separate Americans and divide Americans, and I thought that's not cool. The president should have said voting rights are important to everyone, for equality, for access to democracy. It's an American privilege that should be available to everyone. It should have been a unifying message. But to say you need to choose North versus South, racism, not racism. So some of the law, I don't know everything about the law that Georgia tried to pass or is trying to pass, but some of it is like, if you're standing in line to vote, people shouldn't be able to come up to you and offer you gifts and like food. And I'm like, okay, I get that. That would be, I could see that as being like bribery, let's say. Oh, I'll give you a free pizza if you vote for this other guy. Right? Like, I get it. Like, if you're standing in line, people should leave you alone. Because what if it was people coming in line and it was a form of intimidation, not bribery, right? I get it. If you're standing in line to vote, everyone should leave you alone. I don't want Starbucks coming up and handing out free lattes and stuff like that. Like, dude, it's a sacred process. If you're in line, just be in line. And by the way, why are you in line? Why couldn't you, mail in your vote and stuff like that? Okay. So I don't know how, I don't remember, I don't know if it's racist, the law that they're trying to pass. It's hard. I don't have all the information, but the idea, though, I think, because it's up to the state will work it out, okay? But I think the president of the United States should be preaching a message of unity, okay? That's all I'm saying. I would expect the president of the United States to bring unity and harmony to his or her citizens, but to divide them is, to me, anti-presidential. And I was really shocked by that message. It's dangerous. It's almost like Trump saying, hey, let's go to the Capitol building and disrupt it. Like, right? I mean, that's not cool either, right? So anyways, that's dangerous. It's dangerous. That's dangerous. Okay, it's disconcerting. So again, I'm not trying to be political. I'm trying to be an objective observer, and that was a bit strange. Anyways, okay, it's dangerous. Dangerous. For example, if Americans divide, let's say like a peaceful civil war, but it's civil, it's a civil war, but let's say without guns, we can't have conversations with each other in public. We can't have different religions. We're divided by color and race and sexuality. We can't agree on and have conversations about these subjects. And there's protests and let's say personal attacks in the street. Like, it's just not good for business as an economist. How about that? Okay. Well, Jim, it's economics. I'm trying to bring it back to economics. Okay. So we got our news, and I see dollar weakness, which is great. Weak. Okay. Okay. And just kind of to Jim R's thing, like move on. I get it, but I'm watching this. I mean, look, we're watching it. But another point I'll make is Ray Dalio's opinion for the greatest risk to the American reserve currency is civil unrest and disagreement. So you want to look at it in that kind of light, Jim R. It's like, this is important to the dollar if the American citizens can't even have a conversation with each other. It's just bad for business. Okay, from an economist's point of view, it's bad for business. Okay, things that are strong are doing quite well. Okay, here's the CAD. So CAD is strong, pound is strong. Okay, these long, this is long gone old data. It was the if then, and those did set up. Okay, CAD is very strong. Again, it's the nearshore play. Okay, let's go and take a look at exotics. Want to dive in here. Actually, let me go back to the 4H, zoom in. What we're kind of trying to play out here is this. Did that draw? It didn't draw. Hang on, let me do it again. Okay, this is the 4-hour 21, drop into a 15. And the plan is the 4-hour 21 squeezes us through the support. I think, well, first of all, I don't know Ray personally. I haven't read any of his books, although I own one. I think he knows how to trade and why, right? Obviously, he built the largest hedge fund, and he did so in a way that makes sense to me, right? He's a macro and fundamental trader. I get it, right? I like his techniques. He's made money. He's lost money. I get that too. And I like the idea, especially later in his life, when he's a billionaire, he decides he wants to know something. And I can just see it where he hires like 20 people to work for him to work on a project. And he's like, I want to know everything about this, right? And he hires 20 people and he ends up learning a lot of stuff. Right? So I like all of that. I think he's definitely informed. I think he's skilled, and I think he's successful. But now, the last 3 or 4 years, he's been going on book tours and press conferences. And people, I think, are overpraising him and turning him into another, genius. Well, I think he does the work. That doesn't make you a genius. And so I don't know. I don't like that message, whether it's from him or the media, that he's a genius. He's not a genius. He does his job well. There's a difference. Now, Elon Musk is probably a genius, and he's more dangerous because he doesn't give a shit. So you got to be careful. Because, you got to be careful with him because he doesn't care about you at all. If he can get you to buy Dogecoin so he could make some money for Tesla, he'll do it. And you're the victim, and he doesn't care about you because you're stupid. That's how he feels about everybody. The average person's stupid. Why would he care? The media is stupid. His competitors are stupid. His customers are stupid. His everyone doing the crypto thing is stupid. He's like, if I could play them and make money. So you got to be careful because that is common with geniuses, where everyone around him is not a genius. So after a while, you get sort of benign to everybody, to everything. They're right. And that's actually dangerous, right? Right? It's dangerous to have no empathy. You got to, right? It's sort of like that nerdy guy you knew in high school that didn't talk to anybody, and you're worried, like, is he gonna, show up with an AR in a trench coat and like go weird on us, or is he just quiet? Well, Elon Musk is probably that guy that you knew in high school. He was probably quiet and nerdy and shy, but he was smart, and well, he now he's the richest guy in the world. You got to be careful. You got to be more careful about him. But I don't think Ray Dalio is a genius, but I think he does his work. He's a hard worker and he's a smart person. Okay. But not dangerous. Okay. And remember, most of us just need to do the work. There's no need to, you don't need to be a genius to be a trader. But most people don't even do the work. And that's why Ray might look like a genius, but he's just doing his job. Okay. So like, look at, okay. There's two choices on how you trade this USD CAD this month. You buy it here, you sell it there. Do you have to be a genius? Okay. Do you have to be a genius to buy it here or sell it here? Those are the two trades on this for the month of December. Or sorry, the month of January. Okay. And then outside of that, there's everything else that was done. And that's the not genius part. Okay. 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 You don't have to be a rocket surgeon. Okay. Dollar's weak. I'm out of all my dollar strength trades, obviously. Right? So this is the CPI. Obviously, high CPI. The Fed's going to need to raise. And you might remember 6 months ago, I told you the taper made the dollar strong. Rate increases will make the dollar weak. And then a lot of people would scratch their head and say, well, Wayne, why would you say that? I was told that if a central bank raised interest rates, the currency would get strong. And I'm like, yeah, I know that's what you were told. But in the case of, in this case, that was wrong. And so now we're with high CPI. By the way, we knew this, but with the high CPI, the market is pricing in 4 rate hikes now. 4. And the dollar's weak. Okay. Now, I would look at this differently than I think most economists, but you would look at this, I would say inflation, okay, minus, no. Let's do nominal GDP. If I can draw it properly, it'd be great. Nominal GDP minus inflation, okay, equals a negative number, right? Let's do it this way. Is less than 0, which means there's inflation. Right? There's more inflation, which means that the dollar is weak. Okay? Okay, keep your lines. Okay, keep your lines. These are challenges here. These are challenges. Just because you see a green candle doesn't mean you buy. If you thought there was going to be inflation, you buy red candles. If you're chasing this, you're not listening to all the messages I give you all day, every day. Don't be weak. You're either disciplined or you're weak. Okay? So if you thought we had red hot inflation, well, there's a bottom down here. Okay? Then there's a higher high, higher low, and now we have a higher high. Okay? So your opinion should have been priced in much lower. But now that it's come out and you see this green candle, and what are you doing? Buying it sort of like in this area? You're not listening. You're not listening. And if you're trading like that, you're not going to last. Okay? You're not going to make it. Okay? Yeah. What was your plan yesterday, son? For example, right? Lower high, lower high, lower high. This is the sell zone for the month for USD Noki. USD Noki. So all you have to do is want to buy Norway. Why? Who cares? Or you want to sell dollar. Okay, great. So, for example, if you join the swing trading group, you would learn that this is one of two trades that you would do this month. There's only, well, there's a counter trend, but that doesn't really count. To me, it's not a trade. I mean, whatever. That's obvious, is all I'm saying. Bulls would buy this, bears would sell this. That's all that's happened this entire month, and this is falling. So now you want to wait for a big red candle and sell it low? Dude, you're not grasping the concept. Bears sell high. So if you wait now, and now there's a red candle and you want to sell it low, you don't understand even the basics of trading. And you need to wake the hell up. Okay? What does an 8-year-old know about trading? Sell high or buy low. Okay? So, for those that believe this is an uptrend, okay, I'm telling you, the reason there's consolidation here is this is the price you would want to buy. So you would try it. Somewhere in here you would buy, okay? And you jam your stop and you let it do this because you believe, right or wrong, you never know in the moment, but you believe this is what we have going on. That's why you're a bull. And for a day or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 days, you were profitable. And on the 11th day, you got knocked out, probably at break even. You didn't lose any money. Why? You're a good trader. But then you're like, but Wayne, it didn't make money. That's irrelevant. You're a good trader. You bought it at the right price. You managed your risk appropriately, and it didn't work out. Now, a bear, in contrast, would see this. And most importantly, they're like, this is plan, most importantly, this is plan A and this is plan B. You knew that. This is your sell zone. And so you sold it. You didn't know if it was going to work out. You knew that you faced this risk. See, everybody faces risk. The bears face that. The bulls face that, right? Whatever. So long story short, bulls bought it here. Bears bought it there. Bears won this time. And then a loser shows up now and wants to get involved. Now, you might personally not be a loser, but that's a losing strategy. Getting in way late after the fact, responding to news, blah, 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 weak. Okay? This is a strong trade. This is a strong trade. Doing something now in response to the news, and more importantly, the big red candle. It's lame. Okay. All right. Cool. Take a look at Kitty Cat. This is one of the best trades and it's strong. We just hit a support pivot and we hit the weekly target. Okay. Now, let me zoom in. Again, for those that don't understand swing trading, let me give you an idea. The weekly swing trade plan for a bear is sell here, and based on that number, 126.94, the target is 125.08. Now, just above that is a monthly. Now, that's not a monthly target, but it is a price. So this kind of says this. So here it is Wednesday. This might be the low for the week. I don't know if it will be, but it might be. And the thing is, that will lead some bears to take some profit. Now, let's go further out. Let's back out even further. Okay? This is the projected high. Projected high. Okay? For bears. See, even if you're a bear, there's going to be a high and a low for the period. Well, this is monthly. Okay, monthly. Right there, that exact price. Monthly high. Therefore, you should be able to project the monthly low. Understand? Okay. By the way, we knew that 3 weeks ago. We knew that number 3 weeks ago. Okay. So based on that, the bearish projected low, that's an M3, means M1 is the projected low. So we're on our way to 124.50. This projects this. So there are take profits here. This is an out zone. Now, the projected bottom is not down here. It's the first one, 124.50. The top was 128.00. Okay? So, down, 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 up, up, sell, down, 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 up, up, sell, down, 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 up, sell, down, 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 maybe. We hit the target next week. What do you think? Huh? Yeah, boy! Ugh. Yeah. Yeah, and so, Michael, if you get stopped out, the next thing you need to do, Michael, is stop and say, has anything changed? All that kind of stuff. Also, you have to remember, next week is supposed to be an up week. So is the up week early? I mean, this year is a little different than most years because we don't even know what the Fed policy is, and nor do we agree. Right, Michael? Like, we just don't know. This year, seasonality is tough because on top of what normally happens, people are changing the way they make their decisions. Because, like, again, there's this disagreement. So 6 months ago, we thought the Fed was going to take 6 months to taper, and we thought there would be 2 rate hikes. Now the taper is 3 months, not 6 months. And people were pricing in just 2 weeks ago 3 rate hikes, not 2. Now, this week, they're pricing in 4 rate hikes, not 3, not 2. And so it's really difficult for, traders, investors, business people, and to make the decision, because we don't agree. The Fed doesn't even know, right? We keep getting new messages from the Fed. So it's very difficult. So don't be shocked that there's lots of ups and downs. So the next question is how do you deal with being wrong? So let's say you were a buyer here. Okay? You bought it, it went up, came down, maybe you bought it again, came up, came down, knocked you out here. Okay? And maybe knocked you out here. So do you try a second time? Yeah, maybe. And then you're out. The thing is, do you buy S1 if you're a bull? No. Okay, so you have your bias. Okay? But you also have to know how to trade. So what are the 3 opportunities for a bull on this chart for the month of January? This is the best one, and that's one I took. Okay? This and a whole bunch of other, I think I was on 6 trades this day. Dollar bull. 6 trades, maybe more. Okay? And I mean 6 different currencies. Okay? Or currency pairs. Okay? So the plan was this, right, Michael? Somewhere there it was a 3rd week dip, and then it didn't happen, or we're not up to the 3rd week yet. Okay, that's plan A. The second one is like double bottom-ish, but it's kind of like a reiteration of the first one. And you're going to have a lot less confidence when that sets up. So really, what's the next possible trade, Michael, if you're a bull? The only thing is a counter trend trade here, and that's not a fun trade. No, I'm a trend trader, not a counter trend trader. So it's like, all right, so you get all the way down here, Michael, and you have to hit it early in the month, which means you got to hit it before this line in the sand. If you hit the target before this vertical line, then it's late in the month, and you're probably not going to get a longer term counter trend. So right now it's already mediocre. If today, tomorrow, and Friday hits this, then the next thing you can plan, not that you should, but you can, is this idea of counter trend back to the central. And that would be your 3rd, whatever. Let's just leave it at that. Okay? So there's that. That's all you have left. So it's really important that when you are wrong, you don't keep trading, in particular trading wrong. You have some time here, like this breach here says it all, okay? That breach there says regroup, replan, re-strategize. Okay? Fat tail on the Fed, yeah. Kurtosis, huh? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and the idea of 4 rate hikes, I don't even know how that would work, but I have some assumptions baked in there. Okay, I have assumptions like I don't recall the Fed ever raising or lowering interest rates near an election. But I don't remember the last time the president, well, I guess it would have to be Trump doing his speech on the Capitol Mall right before they attacked the Capitol building. But it's unusual for an acting president to be divisive, but it seems like Biden's done it and Trump's done it. So that's all new to me. So normally the Fed would not adjust interest rates right next to an election, but maybe this year they do it because, well, to hell with our institutions, right? I don't know. So I might be wrong there. I might be leaning too much on the past. The Fed has never done it in recent history, and I mean probably going back 50 years. But maybe this time's different. I don't know. I don't like the statement, this time's different, because this time's never different. But you know what? Like I said at the beginning of this webinar, I've been doing this for 20 years and I've made a ton of mistakes. So maybe my assumptions of how our political institutions and economic institutions stay apolitical, stay independent of each other, maybe that's changed. Okay? No, Maida, I'm talking about when he was actually doing the speech. I actually watched part of that, and I'm like, oh, that's different. I mean, I watched it, and I'm like, that's different. He's like, come on, I'll go up there with you. And I don't think he ever did, but whatever. It was different, Maida, that's all. And, I don't mean anything by it, except it was a different speech that I had never seen a president do before. It was unique to Trump. Okay, that's all. Because you also have to understand, like, he was lame duck. He wasn't really doing anything anymore. And so he had nothing to lose. And that's the kind of speech it seemed like. It was like, wow, this is a different dude. So he wasn't acting like the president. He was acting like Trump, which is everyone's going to behave differently because of the institution of the presidency. So anyways, in that one, he was acting more like Trump than the president of the United States. Okay, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean they're different personas. Okay. But I invite everybody to watch the State of the Union address. Most people don't. And I would say before you love Biden or hate Biden, you know Biden. And so I only know him from about 3 press conferences that I watched. And then, I only heard a soundbite of his speech last night here in Atlanta. But that part of the speech I really didn't like, but maybe it was out of context. I don't know, but I didn't like it. But you also have to understand the people he was trying to impress already are disappointed with Biden. The ACLU, for example, and probably the NAACP. They're like, Biden, you suck. You haven't done crap for us. And so he came out to Atlanta, guns flying, with harsh words. But at the end of it, they're like, dude, we're done with these words. When are you going to actually do something? So you have to understand, like, he was trying to impress people. So he had to go really hardcore, one angle, which I thought was a little strange for a president, right? But I guess he needed voters or whatnot. He needs the midterms, right? So it was a harsh speech, but I think it was too much and it was too late. And if anything, he didn't win any votes. So it'll be interesting what comes from it, right? What about his new nightmare? I don't know. So anyways, I hope you see I'm lighthearted about the opinions, right? So anyways, like, I appreciate your opinion, Maida, and I know your opinion. And so I'm just I'm critiquing the action of the president and not the party of the president per se. And so there's good and bad. There's good and bad. But anyways, so I go back to what I was saying. I invite everybody to watch the State of the Union address. I think it's in about a month. And go in with, to get to know the man. That's all I'm saying, right? Okay? Yeah, no one can prove it. Yeah, well, I think George W. probably stole the Bush for George W. Bush probably stole the presidency from superhighway, internet superhighway guy, Gore. I wouldn't honestly. That's what I thought. The war machine that the Republicans put up to go after Iraq. That was all created before 9/11, and you had an oil man as president of the United States, right? With Dick Cheney, who was a war man. Literally, his company is the largest contractor during wars, right? Literally a war machine. And then Colin Powell was an army general. I mean, literally, that White House was put together to go to war to Iraq. It was already written all out. And it was all about oil. And then Al Gore came along and, well, got the popular vote but lost the presidency. And I always thought, like, who that was the first time. You have to remember, I was a young man at that point, right? I had my own company and stuff, but I'm still a young man. It was the first time I ever said, could you actually buy the presidency? Could you actually do it? Like, does someone else want us to go to war? Is this Saudi Arabia saying, go get Iraq? Like, is this somebody else, or is this a party? Is this a group of Illuminati that says, go to war and make this thing happen for us? I had never asked that question before. And that was the first time it happened. I'm like, gee whiz, that makes a lot of sense. So now to say, did the Russians help Trump through hacking and espionage and voter fraud win? Yeah, that would be interesting. But that was a question. How did Trump possibly win? Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if that somehow influenced the outcome. And could the Russians do it? I'm like, yeah. So that was interesting. And then now, Trump saying that he got, booted through improper voting. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know, I have friends of mine, African American, highly educated, highly successful, highly driven people. Okay. And they know people. So now it's, what is it, fourth party? I know people that know people that know people, but that received in the mail pre-filled out voter cards for their 8-year-old child to vote. It's like, all right, send this in. This is for your 8-year-old child, and they're voting for Biden. Just sign it and send it back. That actually happened, from what I was told by people I know. So it's not a very good testimony, but I was told that happened by close friends that I respect greatly. And they're like, yeah, it's happening in our community. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. So could it happen? Yeah, I could see it, but I don't think it'd be the first time. So, right? But I suppose it's better than having the Russians decide who the president of the United States is, right? But I can also tell you from my opinion of from things I've heard from people that, I don't know how much how much weight you want to give this, but from people I know that know. Trump definitely took money from the Ukraine, from the Russians, and so did Biden and his family, and so did Giuliani, and that the Russians are knee deep in everybody. And so, if anything, Putin allowed Biden to win because he was disappointed in Trump's. So, if anything, if I was going to be, what do you call it, the conspiracy theorist, I would say Putin got Trump elected and then was disappointed with Trump's performance and what he was supposed to give Putin. So then Putin had Trump fired and Putin put Biden in. Now that is a hell of a conspiracy. But you know what? I wouldn't be shocked. So anyways, there you go. Okay. So anyways. So that shows you how apolitical or politically independently minded I am. Putin's in control of everything. Okay? Yeah. Well, see, here's the problem, though, Dwayne, but thank you for that. But the thing is, now I'll leave my webinar, and there's going to be a street battle, the street fight here, where people are, even in our chat, are pulling out baseball bats and knives and brass knuckles, and they're fighting over politics when I'm trying to be sort of critical of both sides. And that's sort of a... So here's another thing that Ray Dalio said. I listened to a podcast recently with Ray, and he said, look, we're in a situation, again, this is Ray Dalio speaking. Ray said that we have a gap in education. Some kids are going to good schools and they're eating lunch every day and they have good teachers and they're trying to learn calculus, and it's tough. So they get a tutor and they get educated. Cool. Other Americans don't know how to be civil to one another. And that's a form of education. They're not reading Shakespeare, they're not learning calculus, but civility is also not something they've been taught. Now, I'm not saying who they is, and don't get all pissed off at me. But that's what Ray was saying, that there's a difference in some education that some citizens of the United States are receiving, that there is a huge gap of, respect for institution and civility, and another one learning, advanced calculus, and they're worried about if they can get into an Ivy League school or a top 50 school. And there's such a difference, isn't there? Yeah. So I'm like, wow, that is an interesting point. Right? So, I don't know. So to have an open conversation about politics, it's an interesting sign if you can't do it. Okay? If I open up the can of worms of, I'm going to say something negative about Biden, and all of a sudden there's 150 messages of, I don't know. To me, it's too much. It's too much. And I'm trying to do this from an economic point of view. I want us to all be productive together. And that means we have to work with each other. We have to respect each other. We have to live with each other. We need to eat and pray and walk through nature together. It's right. I mean, seriously. And if you can do that, your productivity is so high. Right? And I'm someone that, for my companies that I used to run, I used to hire probably 20 people a week. And I'm just some dumb Canadian, some country bumpkin that moved to the big city. And I was never taught to be a racist. I wasn't taught to be a bigot and stuff. I was never taught to look at how someone spelled their last name and know they're Jewish or not. I'm like, okay, why would that matter? I never knew, and people would point it out. And I'm like, I don't even know what that slur means. If someone said something derogatory towards someone else because of the race, the religion, or whatever, I'm like, I don't even know what that is. What is that? Oh, that means they're Italian? Okay. Is that bad? I just didn't know. But I hired people based on their desire to work for my company. That was my number one overriding motive. I didn't care if you were a boy or a girl. I didn't care if you're old or young. I didn't care if you're black or white or Jewish or Christian or atheist. Like, I just didn't know I was supposed to be a racist bigot. I didn't know I was supposed to be. I paid all my female employees the same as I paid all my male employees. I didn't know I should have paid them 30% less, right? It was just funny. So I'm just not, right? So I'm coming from that point of view where, honestly, I'm an entrepreneur. Right? Right? So I'm trying to say maybe, Morena, that was a better thing. I respect hard-working, smart, interesting people. So just kind of interesting. And then I learned it later as an adult that these things existed. Okay. So anyways. All right, so good. All right, so markets are moving. Look at this. Bottom has been found, at least a little bounce there, a little bounce there. Look at this, like, amazing, right? Isn't it nice to have these like lines in the sand that say that could be an important price? Seems like it was. This is this gray area I drew yesterday. This is still Nomad's line. That could probably go up or down depending on what. Okay. And then look at this. Like, pound is one of the strongest, if not the strongest currency right now. And this is what I did on Sunday. We were here. Sorry, let me change the color here. Okay. Boom and boom. Matrix says, I don't believe you, sorry. About what? But that's funny. So this is how I used to hire people. First of all, I didn't have a desk, right? I didn't have a desk. So I'm thinking about one of the companies I ran, and I didn't have a desk because I wanted another person to have the desk. Why? If I'm a boss, I shouldn't be sitting at a desk. Right? So anyways, so I didn't even have a desk. So once people would come in for a job interview, and I used my boss's office, and they'd come in and they'd hand me the resume, and I'm like, thank you, I've already read your resume in detail, but thank you. And then I said, here's my first question. And they're like, oh shit, they just sat down, right? I'm like, are you wearing good shoes? This was always my open, because my idea is I wanted to get them off balance. I want to know the person. I don't want to hear the canned BS responses to all the stupid questions that most HR people ask. They're usually retarded questions, right? If you were on a deserted island, like, shut up. I'm not going to work for this company. Is how I'd answer that. But anyways, so my first opening question was, are you wearing good shoes? And people are like, what? And they'd look down at their shoes, and I'd look at their shoes, and they're like, yeah, I guess so. I'm like, I'd like to go for a walk. Are you comfortable with that? We'll just walk around the block. They're like, okay. I'm like, you can leave your stuff here. I'll lock the door behind. They're like, so they'd leave their bag, and they'd leave the resumes on the desk. I don't need to know the resume anymore because I actually read it, which is in of itself unique, right? So anyway, so I'd lock the door, and we'd go for a walk, and sometimes we'd stop at the park. Our office was not far from the San Francisco City Hall, so sometimes we'd go in there, and we'd have our shoes shined in a job interview. And I'd tell them about the company, but I'd ask them questions. And really, it was a mantra meditation. So as you walk, typically you're looking at your shoes and you're looking at people around you, but you're using a different part of your brain because you're kind of on autopilot as you're walking, but you're listening to my questions, but you're not looking me in the eye. I'm not intimidating you. I'm not influencing you with my body behavior and stuff. So you're actually talking to me and we're having a conversation. And I'm not looking at your face either. I'm not looking at you thinking, I don't like these kinds of people. I don't like this type of personality. I'm not being influenced by that either. We're walking and we're talking. We'd walk down the street and cross the street, and sometimes we'd get a coffee, and then we'd walk to a park, and maybe we'd sit at a bench, maybe get our shoes shined. And for an hour, we would walk. And I'm telling you, I'd do at least three interviews a day, which tells you I'm doing a lot of walking, right? And I'd spend $1,000 a month on coffee because 3 times a day I'm buying people lattes, right? And so we'd go for an hour, hour and a half or whatever, and we'd come back, and then I would thank them for their time. And then I would say, okay, go home, and I expect an email from you in the next 24 hours, and I want to know 3 reasons why you want to work for me. And I'd leave it at that. I'd say, I don't want to hire you. I want you to hire me. Okay? So you can see, like, that's how I tried to handle biases. Okay? You see? So I got to know. So sometimes we would talk about, quantum physics on our job interview. Not because it was a job interview question. We would actually have a real interesting conversation. I'd see how you'd respond. And if you responded to that, we would talk about that. And you'd maybe get to know me. If you didn't respond to that, then maybe I'd try something else, and we'd go on with the conversation. Then I throw in, a behavioral comment and see how you respond. Okay, so anyways. Okay, when the Bank of England raised interest rates, why wasn't it priced in? Okay, the Bank of England was thought to raise interest rates. There was a time about 3 months ago that the market thought 100% chance the Bank of England would raise interest rates, and they didn't. And then after, there was an interview with Governor Bailey, and he laughed at the idea, and he's like, well, I didn't tell you I was going to raise interest rates. So then it changed the opinion, and then the next meeting, he raised interest rates, and people are like, well, what the hell? Why didn't you raise it? And so it was weird. It was a weird situation. It probably had something to do with the government surprising the Bank of England. So the Bank of England probably was going to raise interest rates. And then the government came along and then threatened to shut down the economy again because of Omicron. So then the Bank of England said, whoa, we can't do it now because of that. And then they realized it's not going to be a big deal. And then they did it. Yeah, that's true, mate. And that's why I'm like, that's a danger, right? Okay. So anyways. Cool. All right. Well, I'm glad I stirred up the honey pot, right? All the honeybees are agitated. Yeah, interesting. Cool. So for that company, I ended up hiring, I don't know, 300 or 400 people. And we ended up opening offices in Los Angeles and New York under my watch. And the guy that I hired to replace me was someone I hired originally. And he grew because he's such a smart and hardworking person that when I left, I had him replace me, and he opened an office in New York. And now he's wildly, wildly successful and has done at least 2 TED Talks and hangs out with Richard Branson on Nectar Island. Yeah. 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 For sure. So, yeah, good times. And no, he wasn't a white dude. And you're like, you're racist for saying that. All right, well. Thank you, Maida. That goes straight in a Cohiba fund. Oh, we hit 43. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, we just hit 43. Thank you. By the way, I put $10,000 into that trade in cash. So I should probably take that out. Thank you for pointing that out. So I guess I was right and 75% of people were wrong. Holy smokes. Do you have to be a baller to do that, huh? So let's go into that, actually. I want to take a look. This chat is on fire. Yeah, it was 75, I thought, or pretty close to that. Everyone said down, so I bought it. What an a-hole, right? I'm in somewhere like here. Oops. I'm in somewhere like here. 40. Oh, shoot, 44. Look at that. I made $1,000 in a day and a half. I'm probably going to take profit. Nice. Good. Now I can buy a used Rolex watch band. How ridiculous. So I thought I found my 38 millimeter. Turns out it was a 39 millimeter because it's too new. And no, I'm not talking about handguns. I'm talking about Rolex bracelets. And he's got a 39 to 40. My Rolex is older than that. And I need a 38 because back in the year 2000-ish, I think it's 2005, they made them 38 or 40 for men. And I'm not a big dude, so sometimes 40, like these watches, these like 44s, they look stupid on me. So like 38 millimeter is about right for me. It looks appropriate, you know. I'm like a Ken doll, you know. I'm a tiny dude. So anyways, I can take this 25%. Look at that. And so by the way, okay, you have to look at this and say, you know, what's my internal rate of return? Okay, so we went from 40,000 to 44,000. So you could say the return there is 10%. Now, if I was leveraged, this would be, if I used leverage, my internal rate of return would be more than 10%, right? Okay, this is right. So I put up $10,000 and I made 1,000 profit. Cool. Okay, so now the next question would be, okay, why did I buy it? Well, it was support. Okay. So anyways, but that was a cash trade. Okay. Cash. It was just cash. Not this account, not a broker, right? I just paid cash. Now, if I had leveraged 10 to 1, I would have put up $1,000 of my cash. It would have Bitcoin would have went from 40 to 44. Okay, I would have made $1,000 because I would have had a 10,000 position. So I'd have 1/4 of the Bitcoin. So it went up and I would have made $1,000. Okay, in that case, with the use of leverage, my internal rate of return would be not 10%, but 100%. So my IRR, even though there was a 10% move, my IRR would be 100, but this would be up 10. See how that works? I'm really just helping you define internal rate of return, which tells you per unit. So per dollar, how did you do? Per dollar, how did you do? Okay. But so right. So I invested 10,000. I now have 11,000 position in Bitcoin, and I'm probably just going to cash out and buy myself a watch band. Actually, I'm not going to do that. But if you guys know where I can get a vintage Rolex watch band, let me know. Here it is. I think it's actually a pretty watch. Look at this. It's old. If you guys like watches, it's a nice one. It's old, but you see, it's nice, right? I'm trying to get it without the reflection, but it's got the nice. It just won't. It's upside down, of course. But what I like about the old watches is I can shake it and I can feel the works inside, the complications. I can feel it shake, like the old springs and stuff. Keep it for 10 more years? Yeah, I guess so, whatever. I can't eat Bitcoin. Huh? I can't eat Bitcoin. Yeah, it's nice. It's one of those watches where you wouldn't know. And I like that. Like this one, people are like, what the hell is that on your wrist, right? They're like, what the hell is that? I like the Rolex better because no one would even notice. No one has ever said, oh, is that a vintage Rolex? No. No one ever asked me. No. All right. So if you're a watch guy, that's all. I don't know if you're a car guy, a watch guy, or gal. Okay. Oh, look at that. Nat gas, 3.5 to 4.5. We got there. No stop to Natty, huh? Yeah, Elm still says, why did I buy it there? Let's talk maybe. Okay. How would I? Let's just say there's, this is by definition is support, and then the psych level. Oops. Okay, the psych level had a lot to do with it. If it was only a support but not a psych, I probably wouldn't have done it. So it's kind of like this. Who said it again? Oh, Elm. It's like this. I would suppose if the bearishness exists that the next bearish move would happen over here around 45. So it's more like a bounce at 40 up to 45 and then maybe on our way to 38, 88. It's just where these guys that sold at 50. You got to think of it this way. It's not technical analysis. It's trader psychology. Whoever sold it at 50K is going to want to get out at 40K. And then they're going to sell it again at 45. Okay? And you're like, well, that's too simple. I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, right on, Roger. You see what I mean? So there's nothing to it. I could probably stay in another 1,000, but it only makes me $250 per 1,000, so I don't really care, right? Like, I don't know. So I'll see. I'll get to it later today. Well, it's a cash position, Elm, so I don't really have a stop that way because I'm not leveraged. It just, the money is so small. So like that, like if I allow this to go up another $1,000, which sometimes is easy and sometimes it's not, to me it's only $250. So like, I don't even really care, right? So I'm not looking at it that way. It's more like if I had bought it here and then went up a little bit and then it started going down, I'd just log into the account and take out the position. And like, it just, you know, if I was leveraged 50 or 100 to 1, holy shit. Yeah, I'd have a firm stop. But I'm not trading on a trading account like this. It's just a Coinbase account. Okay. It's just I moved some cash into there. That's all, right? So no big deal. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. It ain't no thing. Don't worry about it. Okay. Gold having a nothing happened day. Oh yeah, gold is up, but statistically, is it even relevant? I don't know. Look at Bitcoin is scary. Well, if you're leveraged. You know, like everything is scary if you can't predict the future, nor can you control your behavior. Now, I'm not saying that's you, Elm, but most people I run into, not you guys, but if I was at a trading conference, I used to speak 3, 4, 5 times a year, right? So I'd meet people around the world. Most of them are new retail traders. They don't know what they're doing and they cannot control their behavior. So for them, I'd be shocked if it wasn't scary. Like, I would ask people, like, why did you make that trade? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, gee whiz. Why'd you buy Aussie when the central bank said that they're not going to raise interest rates for 2 years? What? Right? They just don't know. They're not informed. They're not making good decisions. And that, to me, that's the scary thing. If you don't know what you're going to do April 1st, then I probably have an advantage over you. Now, you might disagree with that and say, well, Wayne, but you know, you said this and you said that and blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. Nonetheless, I have strategies and plans before I trade. Cool. So yeah, that'd be scary. Not knowing what to do or why you should be doing something, and yet you're a market participant, that would scare me a lot. So again, I'm waiting for peso to make it through. Make it through the night. Somehow made me think of Cyndi Lauper. So down, 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 up, up, roll, reversal, sell. So this is pretty critical here of what happens next for the new lower low. I don't like the bouncy bounce, of course, but we're really up against this support. It has to breach, breach, breach. But right now, it's going in the right direction for my peso team. Cool. I'll just leave it there. What do I want to do now? I guess review the yen pairs. Okay, for everyone that chased CAD yen up, you're losing money, and I laugh, I laugh. Okay. That's what happened to people that chase. Pound is quite strong, but boy, it's one of these things. If there are bears, they're going to sell this. That's why you don't chase. Okay. All right. Drop into a smaller time frame. Lovely to you, mum. Okay, I can't buy it here, but if you were a bear, you would look for weakness. I'm not telling you you should be a bear. I've been telling you you should be a bull. Okay? I didn't like the drop below this line here, but New Zealand is raising interest rates, so I am a bull on this pair. That's that. Nuff. Snuff. Yes, that's enough. Okay, so really this is based on next trading session. So between now and, let's say, Asia Open, maybe we can buy this at 90, 80, 90, 90, 50 seems like too low, but I've seen stranger things. Okay. Uh, 90.50 actually smells all right to me. Kind of interesting there. And I'm getting texts, but I got workers coming today. Somebody wants their money. What do you mean you want your money? I should say, hey, do you accept Bitcoin? All right. People want their money. Well, I think I'm done. Thank you for hanging with me and talking politics. Remember, I'm trying to boil everything down to, is this good for the economy? Or is this a threat to the economy? Okay. Hey, Maida, did you notice your post has made it to the ticker tape in the webinar? CPI report, right? Look at that. Dollar index price analysis, right? 95.5 area holds, and then somewhere in there is your post, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, so thanks for hanging with me. Thank you for not killing anybody. We're just traders, man. We're just trying to, right? Well, I mean, what are we actually trying to do? Turn a penny into 15 cents? No, how does it go? Trying to turn a nickel into 15 cents? Just trying to get through this life alive and a little bit richer and send our kids to a better school, live in a better neighborhood, eat quality food. Okay. There it is. Come on, man. Hit the like. So thank you for that, Maida. And so anyways, right? Anyways, I like you guys. I care about you. I want you to succeed. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not even allowed to vote. But I am an entrepreneur. I am a capitalist. And I want to have everybody that is willing to work hard and do their best to think smart and intelligently, to have the greatest opportunity for them to succeed and to be productive. And after being an entrepreneur, after working in several startups, after being a venture capitalist, the best opportunity I've ever seen by far, which is absolutely inclusive. It pays you a ton of money if you're willing to do the work and if you make wise decisions. It doesn't care about how young you are, how old you are. Doesn't care what color your skin is or who you like to make love to. None of that even matters. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what country you live in. Do you live in a rich country or a poor country? a warm country or a cold country. It doesn't matter. And that is called Forex. So I found the greatest thing ever. I buy and sell money for a living. And I wish for you the same opportunity. And I hope you grab that opportunity and take advantage of it. Because after a lifetime of searching for the Holy Grail, this is the Holy Grail. Unlimited opportunity. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Doesn't matter if you're Muslim. Well, you're not going to earn interest. But that's not because of anybody else. Okay? But Prophet Muhammad did not like usury. So, awesome. Okay? And by the way, I don't think the usury issue is in the Quran. I believe it's in the Hadith. What do you know, Abdullah? Does anybody know? I don't think it's in the Quran. I believe it's in one of the Hadith, but I read so much of it, sometimes I get lost. Yeah, you don't get swap, right, because of usury. But again, I don't think it's a Quran issue. I think it's something that Muhammad was heard saying. Haram? Oh, okay. So that's somebody, that's fourth party, right? Word of mouth, haram. It's not Quran, and you're saying it's not Hadith. So somebody said that they know somebody who saw Muhammad say usury is bad. Right? Oh, it's in, Dre says it's both. Okay. It could be. Okay, so whatever. But I've read all that, and that's pretty fly for a white guy. So peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Cheers.